Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Now recently Nitecore released their EX7 flashlight and they were good enough to send me a pre-production version of this. Now quick disclaimer, yes, this was sent to me free of charge, but as always with the agreement that I have with Nitecore, I'm freely allowed to express any of my views on this. Also, this was a pre-production version, so rather than coming in its usual packaging, all of that sort of stuff, they just sent me the light and the things that come with this. So that's things like a lanyard. You also get a replacement gasket, one of the little O seals on here, and it also comes with a USB-C charging cable. Now the beauty of this light is down to the M515S array of LEDs that they have in here. Essentially what they've done is they've took a flashlight, or really what they've actually done is they've took 3 different flashlights and they've been able to cram it into one light with the way in which this the M515S array of LEDs works. Now there is a lot to talk about this, so I'm just going to get straight into it because this really is like 3 flashlights in one. The maximum output from this light is 6,000 lumens. Now that's whilst it's using its lumen shield mode. As you can see here, it's absolutely flooding up this park. As far as the maximum beam is concerned on here, it'll throw up to 500 meters, which is on its search mode. And again, looking around the park here, you can see that it really does create a lot of light. As far as the intensity is concerned, it goes up to 63,470 CDs on the candela when it's in its search function. On its lowest setting, which is its ultra low setting, it's just 1 lumen, and on that 1 lumen you can get up to over 23 days worth of light from this. Looking into the business end here, you can see the M515S array, and what it is, it's using a different style of array of LEDs. You can see the main LED in the middle, and then there are 4 LEDs around that. The way that this really gets that power is then having 4 of those arrays so that you can get different effects from the different LEDs. It's powered by a removable and rechargeable 21700 battery to make sure that you're getting the most amount of light and power from it as well. Now as far as the measurements are concerned, the maximum length comes in at 130 millimeters, which is from the tip all the way to the magnetic tail end, and that does tail down into the shaft where it comes down to just kind of about 25 millimeters or an inch. The weight on this without the battery is 140 grams, but really if you're looking at it with the battery, it comes in at around about 110 grams. It's on the heavier side, however, you can easily carry this around in your pocket all day with no issues whatsoever. You're not going to struggle when as far as weight. What I would say though is that maybe if you want to have this in a bag, or if this is a kind of a truck light, something that you keep in your glove box, you're not going to have any issues with that whatsoever. Personally for myself, when I come out into the woods at night and I'm walking the dog around here, I've just had this by the back door, but on the time or the week or 2 or 3 that I've had this, just testing it, keeping it in my pocket, no issues whatsoever. Now as far as the UI is concerned, it's all done through this single button here. Now as far as this light is concerned, as I've mentioned already, there are kind of 3 different flashlights all crammed into this, and that comes from the different modes. Now I'll bring up the details here. I'm not going to talk about all of these, but if you want to stop and you want to have a look at these to a greater depth, then please feel free to. But for all intents and purposes, those 3 modes are the spotlight mode, you have a mixed mode, and then you have the floodlight mode. And whether they're on the moonlight, low, mid, high or turbo, they all have the same amount of lumens through each of the modes. Mainly using that the M515S LED array that's in here, they then allow the different functions. So on the spotlight mode, it's very refined, very pinpoint, and it's all that candela is pushed into an area. On the floodlight mode, as you'd expect with a floodlight, it floods the entire area. If it's on the turbo mode, all those 1500 lumens are flooding the whole area around you. And then the mixed mode is a mix of the 2, so that you can kind of get both of those features. So you want the area and you want to have that spill, but you also want to be able to add a defined point. So your ultra low mode is just 1 lumen, your low is 30 lumens, your mid is 180, which is the actual setting that I've been using the most, and high to some degree. High is 600 lumens and your turbo is 1500 lumens. You then have some special functions which are then your search mode and your lumen shield. Now with your search mode, it increases that candela, and it just uses it with the M515S, the LED that's in the middle of there. It really ramps up the power on that to 3000 lumens to make sure that you've got this huge, the distance of that throw is up to 500 meters. Whereas on the lumen shield mode, it makes sure that all of those LEDs within that array are turned on and you get the full 6000 lumens. Now when you're using the UI on here, now I will admit, it's a tricky one to show off like this, because how it works is when you turn this on, it will always go on to the low mode, no matter what. There's no memory on this, and there's no way to turn that memory on and off. If I now press the button again, it will turn it off. That's because it was on whatever mode that it was on for longer than 3 seconds, and after that, when I press it again, it will then turn it off again. So here you go, it's longer than 3 seconds, I press it again and it will turn it off. Now to cycle through the different modes, you always just need to remember that you started on the lowest mode, so we're on low, mid, high, turbo. You find whichever one you want to stay on, and then you press it again after 3 seconds and it will turn off. It's a bit of a difference to some other ones where it's easier to be able to move through the different modes whilst it's on. And I know I have talked about this in the past. I'm sure most of us have a favourite setting. Like I mentioned with this one, mid has been it. Walking through the woods at night, been able to see the dog and do what I need to do, it's been fine. I turn it on, low, mid, I'm on. I'm walking, I'm doing whatever it is I need to do. I get back home, put my keys down, turn it off, and then it's off. So I think for a lot of you, being able to just keep it on one mode is fine. You're not going to struggle with that. If it is that you do like to increase and you like to skip through your different modes, it may just simply not be the light for you, but the beauty of Nitecore is that they've got a hell of a lot of different lights, and I'm sure there'll be one in your range that will perfectly suit your needs. So here we go again. So low, mid, low, mid, high, turbo, and then off. You can press it again to turn it off. If it is that you're on mid and after a while you're like, oh, I do need some more light, or it's a bit too much, then you're just going to have to turn it off, and then you're going to have to go through those again to get to where you need to be. If you want to get instant access to the ultra low mode whilst it's turned off, if you do a long press, then that will turn it on to its ultra low mode, which is the 1 lumen. Now I did mention that you have those other features, and this will make a lot more sense, especially when we have a look at it in the dark here. But hopefully if I shine, let's make sure we've got it on the right one. So that's mixed, that's definitely flood. Right, okay, let's get this right. So at the moment this is on the spotlight feature. So if I now do a long press, this will now turn it on to the mixed feature. So we still have that nice hot spot in the middle, but it's created more flood around that. If I then do another long press whilst it's on, it will then go on to its flood feature, and hopefully you've noticed there that that hot spot in the middle is less defined because it's now using more of those lumens to illuminate this area around where that hot spot would be. So to be able to change between the different light settings, it really is very simple. It's just whilst it's on, you then do a long press. So I know now, because it's hitting the tree behind you there, not you there, anyway. So you can see, and you do a long press, and that's how you circle through those different settings. Now, if it is that you want to use the lumen shield, or you want to use the search function, as a fly that landed in my ear, then it's a double press. So it's similar to how other lights do it, with where you may have a low, mid, high, and then it'll circle back around to low, mid, high, where you'd say do a double press to take it up to the turbo. With this one, the double press are your special functions, which are either your lumen shield or the searchlight function. So if I do a double press on this now whilst it's off, this is on its search, because I've got that really hot warm spot there in the middle, and this is the 3000 lumens. What I can then do is, if I do a long press, this will then put it on to its lumen shield version. So depending on which mode that you're on, now if you're on the spotlight mode and you do a double press, so whilst this is on, let's put this, let's make sure, so no, we're not on spotlight at the moment, I'm on spotlight at the moment. If I do a double press while it's on spotlight, I'll get instant access to the search function. If it was that I was on, let's put this on mix. Now that I'm on mix, if I do a double press, this gives you instant access to the lumen shield. So lumen shield is kind of an extension to the mixed function, and search is an extension to the spotlight function. It seems tricky at first, but it's not that difficult once you've had a play with it. I think the main difference with this is just that fact that you turn it on, you find the setting that you want, and you go off, you do whatever it is that you need to do, and I'd say probably 80% of you will probably be fine with that, because it's the one that you'll constantly use whilst you're out walking. You don't need to change different settings. That fly. It's just that if you do need to change the settings, press it again, that's going to turn it off, and then you'll have to cycle back round through until you find the setting that you do want. Now hopefully this will make a lot more sense as well. So I think I probably rambled a little bit too much on this. The proof of the pudding with this really is in the tasting, so let's get down to the pond tonight to see how this fares in the dark. Now, as I mentioned, there's a bit to get through with this, because essentially it's 3 lights kind of. So whichever of those settings that you're on, for now what I've done is I've kept it on the spotlight, because that's the one that you get kind of default as it comes to you. Whilst it's off, you can do a long press and that will put it onto its super low mode, ultra low mode, which is 1 lumen. Because of the moon, you can, 1 lumen is great, it really is. I mention it a lot. I tend to use low and moonlight more on most of my lights. 1 lumen is perfectly acceptable if you're in a pitch black environment, to be able to see several meters ahead of you and illuminate the room that you're in. So I think with this, with the 1 lumen on here, then yeah, it's great when it's on its ultra low mode. Now we turn it back off again. As I mentioned, this might not be the best one to showcase because of the difference in the UI with this. But if I do a single click, I can turn this on. Now, because I've been talking, if I now do another click, it's going to turn it off. So again, just to kind of show you how this works. So we've got low, medium, high, and then turbo. And actually, let's turn this off. Let's go to mid. I think mid on this one's probably the best. 180 lumens really is a good output for this. So as previously mentioned, whether you're on the spotlight, whether you're on the mix light, or whether you're on the floodlight, they all have the same 3. So you have low is 30, mid is 180. High is 600, and then your turbo is 1500. So again, so just holding this in front of me here, off, or if you click it again, it will turn it off. So here we have the low mode, which is 30 lumens. We have a bat flying around there as well, which is pretty good. That tree there is about 10 meters away. On the opposite side of the pond, those trees, it's a little bit harder to see now, the leaves are growing, they're about 20 meters away. So walking the dog around the woods at night, 30 lumens is absolutely adequate. Now, if I press it again, it's going to turn it off. So let's go. So there, now we're on mid. This is your 180 lumens, which I think is probably the best one on here. I think it does a very good job. Again, so this is in the spotlight mode, where you've got a higher candela and you've got a further throw on this. Again, we'll go through that. So low, medium, high. There's your 600 lumens, which again does a very good job. I still think 180 is probably the best, and I think with the amount of extra time that you get out of the battery on 180 is why, for me, it's the better of the modes. I've got a fish jumping over there somewhere. turn it off again. So low, medium, high, and then turbo. And this is where you get your 1500 lumens. Now on any of those settings, if I go back to mid, I can do a long press, and this will then put it onto that mixed mode. So let's just go, so there we've got, there's the floodlight, there's a spotlight. So you can see with the spotlight, you've got that really defined hot spot in the middle. Do a long press, that will now put, so you still get that hot spot in the middle, but now you can see there's a little bit more flood in there because this is the mixed mode. And then I do another long press. Now you do still see a hot spot in there, but it's less defined because this is the flood mode. So let's go back around. So there's spot, there's mixed. Now I'm going to, actually it will cycle through these. So let's go back. So we'll go on to low. There is your 30 lumens. So you're still getting a good bit of throw on this because it's the mixed, and you do get that warm spot in the middle because it's got a little bit of spot and a little bit of flood. Medium or mid, which is your 180, which again I think is a good setting for this. Let's go back around. Now we're on high, which is 600 lumens. Again, I think this is another good mode. 150, 180 is perfectly fine for me walking at night. And then we'll go back around, and there you go. There's your turbo mode, which is 1500. I'm going to push this around again so that we're now on flood, and then we'll turn this off. Same process. So low, there is your 30 lumens. Now being able to see that tree's a little bit harder, mainly because the candela is increased. Again, another fish jumping over here somewhere. The candela has increased, so you got more light kind of shining over a larger area. There's your mid, which is your 180. Now walking at night like this is great, so you get much more of a larger spill, if you can see there. Now, I wouldn't say it's a particularly defined spill on this, but you wouldn't expect that, mainly because you've got those four cells, those four pockets where you have that that new array of LEDs in there. Plus, it's an orange peel reflector anyway, so you're kind of gonna get that anyway. Anyway, so where were we? So let's go low, medium, high, 600 lumens. We'll come back round again, low, medium, high, turbo. Again, back round to 1500 lumens. So there you go. Now, I did mention, so you've also got, search, which is 3000 lumens, which will do it when it's on spotlight. And then you've got your lumen shield, which is one that it will do when it is on your mixed lights. Now, I've got this turned off for a second, but if I do a double click, hopefully there you can see now. So if you want to check which one it is, if you do a long press, you'll see that it swaps between the two. Now I know instantly this is search 3000 lumens because of how strong the intensity there is in the middle. But I can do another long press, which will then turn it on to more of a flood. There you can see how much more of an area that's covered. So on your lumen shield, that is your full 6000 lumens, and it really does pump out a lot of light. I'll say, like I say, with a lot of Nitecore lights, the quality of the light is very nice. It's very crisp. It's very white light. This is getting quite hot now, so I'm just going to turn that off. Now I will say, like with most lights, let's put it back onto spot, and let's go onto mid there. Now with a lot of light, I will say that this does get hot. It has its own kick down. The kick down itself, rather than it being a timed kick down, although it is kind of timed, it's more to do with the amount of temperature that it has with the temperature regulatory kind of system that's in this. So if it is that you're in a very, very cold environment, what it will do is it will probably take longer to kick down, whereas if you're already in a warm environment, it will probably get hot a little bit faster and will kick down a little bit quicker. It's a strange thing with lights. I know we don't really talk about this a lot. We talk about different things like batteries. You know, battery technology has advanced really quickly over the last 20, 30 years, and certain things haven't been able to keep up with it. You could kind of say the same with LEDs. The LEDs that we use have advanced so much over the last 20 years, but the way in which they're passively cooled, the technology that's used to passively cool them really hasn't advanced much. But hopefully that'll be the next big breakthrough in flashlight technology. You've seen it here on Moorlander EDC. Anyway, where was I? The last one on here, you can do a triple click, and there you've got your strobe mode, which is pretty good if you ever need to do your strobe mode. So yeah, so there you go. So there you have it, the Nitecore EX7. The UI on this is definitely different to some other lights. It's not difficult to pick up, it's not difficult to understand, but there are some differences to others. I think some of that might be a hurdle to some of you. However, I think the vast majority of people, as I say, the people, you know, you just go out, you turn it on, you go for a walk, you do whatever it is that you need to do, you get home, you get back to your car, whatever it is, you turn it off. I think the fact that with this though, whether you want to use the flood, whether you want to use the spotlight, or whether you want a little bit of a mix between the two, I think it's a good light, and I think it works perfectly for all of those different situations. It's almost that jack of all trades, master of none, which makes it sound like it's not particularly good at all of those. It's great at all of those different, I suppose it's a jack of all trades, master of kind of all of them, which again sounds a little bit negative. I don't certainly meant that to come off negative at all. But I think, again, if I take a step back, for an all-round light that gives you lots of different functions, has the classic kind of Nitecore build quality and usability to this, I think it's another one that will be great in the lineup that Nitecore have. Now, of course, I do want to say a huge thank you. Again, I did mention at the beginning of this was sent to me from Nitecore. I have a great relationship with them. I've made lots of different pieces of content on lots of different lights of theirs. And as I mentioned, you know, if the UI on this is something that you just can't kind of get used to, Nitecore have a huge array of lights. There will definitely be a light for you. Maybe you want one with a button on the end. Whatever it is that you need, Nitecore will definitely have one for your needs. So yes, a huge thank you again to Nitecore. I'll leave those links below so that you can see more from them. I'll also leave some of my social media links below as well, so you can see more from me here on Moorlander EDC and my sister channel Moorlander Tactical, where I have a look at kind of everyday tactical kind of stuff. And whether you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble, as always, stay safe, stay Moorlander, and stay EDC. High mode, which is 1,500 lumens. No. Again, you always have to double check and triple check. It's better to triple check and realise that your audio is working than get home and realise that it hasn't and then punch yourself in the testicles repeatedly as punishment. Small caveat, so yes, well, no, flicking. Oh yeah. Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Now recently Nitecore released their brand new EX. So there you have it, the Nitecore EX7. I think what this does is takes different lights. Nope. It's on YouTube or Rumble. It is Rumble. Why had I got Rumpelstiltskin in my head? Oh, I know, because you're an idiot. I'm not, well, anyway. Rumpelstiltskin, where did that word come from? Rumpelstiltskin. Anyway. I need to stay off the beers on the Saturday mornings. Yeah. Right. Or whether you're using the search mode, and with the search mode this uses all of these different, the search mode on here. Now I'm out filming a few pieces of content today. I've got several pieces out with me, so Oh, I know when this is coming out because this has to come out on a specific day. So yes, anyway, I hope you're all good. I hope you all had an awesome week. I hope you've all had an amazing weekend ahead of you, whatever time of the year it is or wherever you are in the world. And yeah, cool. I'll see you soon.